till 8, you're listening to Sportsday on 882 6PR.
Me and Doc last week were pretty eager, went to Clary Bolts and Lloydie and said we want to get a leadership group in place pretty quick just so we don't waste time.
The overall voting basically put us to a smaller group than what we had last year. So it was great that last year we basically had 7 blokes get voted and they were the 7 that got in. This year we had 11 boys get up to 12 votes each from the group. But we had a pretty clear 3 stand out with a minimum of 31 from coaches and players. So we do want to take this group forward really quickly, and we felt that we didn't want to waste any of the time. We've announced it in February, late Jan. We see that as about 8 or 9 weeks worth of development we can get into, not only ourselves but the other 3 boys in the group. So onwards and upwards from here, boys.
So it was Patrick Cripps, who is co-captain with Sam Docherty, and that was Sammy, who you just heard talking then to his group. He was named as a co-captain, I think, back in October, and he joins us here on Sports Day. Welcome, Sam. How are you, mate?
Thanks for having me, lads.
Yeah, well, how did it go? The first little speech. Paul Hasleby wants me to ask you about your golf day earlier today first, but I thought, let's just start off with the speech to the boys. How did that go down first up?
Nah, not too bad. The one on BNF night was a bit more nerve-wracking than this one today with the leadership group the other day. So, no, it was a pretty clear voting system, and what came out was the 3 boys who were terrific leaders at our club to join myself and Cripper as the leadership group for the club next year. It's been a really good result.
You spent the entirety of the season out of the game last year. How important was that for your own development? I know no player wants to do it, but I went through it myself in my own career, and I thought it was very beneficial to spend some time out of the game with the coaches, looking at it from a different angle. Do you think it's made you a better captain?
Yeah, I think it has. I think it just allows you to look at the club through a different lens. A lot of the time when you're playing, you have to worry about your own performance and week to week review and preview. Taking that out, I just observing of the players and the coaches about how they go about it and how they react to things. So, no, I found it really beneficial last year. One
of the other big positives is that you did your knee in November, which means you had plenty of time to do a full pre-season to get back out there in 2019. How are you going with the recovery of the knee? And I'm sure you've put in a really good block of work so far.
Yeah, no, going really well. That was probably one of the only positives about doing your knee in the first week of pre-season is that by the time you came back around again, you were 12 months under your belt. So I had a really good off-season and haven't missed a beat in training so far. It's good to be back out there, and we've got a good number of boys on the track, which is making training really impressive and at a high level, which is enjoyable.
You must have been spewing after coming off an All-Australian season the season before. You'd been in ripping form, and you looked like that you were going to really continue on with that before you broke down.
Yeah, no, it was definitely frustrating. Bit of it was from playing decent footy beforehand and hoping to take my game to another level last year. But on the other side of that, just missing all the work and the time out there on the track and on the field with the boys was the hard part.
Mate, I have been reading stories already about your poor coach. I feel sorry for him heading into Christmas. In fact, I feel sorry for all the coaches that get speculated about, and they're basically loading the gun in certain parts of the country, or certain journos are already anyway. How do you feel about the current environment at your club? Because I think we all want Carlton to climb up the ladder, and you've been down the bottom for a while now.
Yeah, that's sort of the football industry, isn't it? That the media sort of set some teams up and some coaches up, and they go really hard if things go wrong. But in terms of the environment at the club, I think we've got a really good core group of young guys that are really talented and want to take the club forward, and got some sort of senior leaders that have been at the club for a number of years now in place to lead that group. And there's one thing about our coaching staff is they're so hard-working, and they've got the same drive as us players to take us to a new level as a football club. So it's exciting. It is part of the footballing landscape that when you don't win, the pressure comes on, but that's what we sign up to do.
You've got a number of exciting young players on your list that are about ready to break out, and one of them is Charlie Curnow. He's probably already broken out already. He's going to be a great player. But what do you think the ceiling is on this guy called Charlie Curnow?
What do I think? He's actually sitting in the car with me at the moment. So
I heard he can't play golf.
Too much, but no, he can't play golf. So as long as his footy game stays away from his golf game, he should be okay. But no, he's a very talented kid, and he's putting in a lot of hard work. He's a really good runner, and I'm looking forward to him having a big year this year, continuing on from his form last year.
Since he's in the car, I don't even think he's in your best forward line, because Harry Mackay, he's the one I really wanted to ask about. I really liked his development last year. I think he might be better than Charlie. Is that right?
Yeah, that is a fair point. Charles might have a bit of trouble fitting into the forward line with Big H and Mitch McGovern coming to the footy club. So it's an exciting prospect to actually have some key talent down there, and there's going to be a lot of competition for spots. We've got Levi Casbolt plus a couple of ruckmen down there as well. So Tom DeConning as well. So it's a pretty competitive group, which is going to be good for our team.
Just tell Charlie that, like Glenn Jakovic, all failed forwards can end up in the back line, so you can always make a name for yourself back there. You don't have as much glory back there, but you can still be part of a very successful team. Now, getting off that particular point and looking to the start of your season, it's going to be a really big challenge to get going early. And what are you trying to do to make sure that you're up and about and you can start your season well to get some confidence into the place?
I think round one's so far away. It's a privilege that we get to open up the season against Richmond, but it is so far away from now in this phase. But we've just got a lot of body of work to do now to get ourselves ready for that phase of games coming up. And you can't lose games in December. You can't win games in sort of December, November, but you definitely can lose them. So we're sort of in that phase of trying to get our group ready, fit, and ready to go for round one.
Tough start, though. Like Richmond, of course, we know how good they've been in the last couple of years. You come up against Port Adelaide, who are a little bit disappointing at the back end of the season, and they'll be looking to bounce back as well. And a never easy Sydney Swans in round 3. So there you go. There's 1, 2 and 3 to start 2019.
Yeah, no, that's an exciting prospect that if we're going to be a good football side, we have to match those teams and beat them. So we'll get a good look at where our group's at early in the season, which is exciting.
What do you think a pass mark is for Carlton in 2019?
I know we get asked this a fair bit, and football's too hard these days to put win and loss categories on it this early in the year. It's most clubs will give you probably the same answer here, because all it's going to do is set you up for failure if you don't get to it. So I'm not going to dive into that and give you an actual number, but we've got an exciting young group that's going to work through together, and it's a good time to be at the football club, and I want to see some significant improvement. But in terms of numbers, I can't give you that. Sorry, guys.
Sam, there was fascinating footage revealed today from your footy club around the trade with Liam Stocker that got in at number 19, and you had the trade with Adelaide for their first pick next year. Did you see it? And so Stephen Silvani and those sort of guys must have had a really high opinion on Liam Stocker. How has he settled into the club?
I haven't seen the vision, but I do know that Sauce really rated Liam. Obviously he did, otherwise he wouldn't make the trade. And they thought they'd seen enough in him that it was worth making the trade with Adelaide. So no, he's fitting in really well. He's training really hard. He's a bit of a competitor at the club. So in all the drills, he's tackling hard, and he's winning the footy, which is good to see.
And how has Mitch McGovern settled in so far?
Yeah, he's a character that all the boys are loving having him around. He's got some good leadership qualities, and we're looking forward to seeing him out in the track regularly coming up now. He's basically started training last week.
A couple of other WA boys. We know that your co-captain Patrick Cripps is always going well, but Sam Petreski-Seaton, the other one, we're waiting for him to have a breakout season too.
Yeah, and he's presented himself in unbelievable fashion this year. He's made significant gains on his running, which was exciting to see as a midfielder. There's a fair bit of competitiveness going on for spots at the moment, so he's taken his running to a new level, which is going to be really good for his game. Everyone knows the class that he has, so I'm excited to see once he gets to that new level to his game in terms of his running, that he might be able to take his game to another level.
Now, just lastly, I know you haven't played for a whole year, but did you get a chance to go away whilst you got involved in the coaching side of things in your time off? Did you get a chance to have a break? And if so, what did you get up to?
I didn't do too much over the off season. I went up to Byron Bay with my partner, but I was basically in the club from October, so I didn't get a heap of chance to get away. I had to come back and get my knee right, ready to go for pre-season. So heading off to New York at Christmas time, that's going to be my off-season sort of break. It's just a few months later.
Beautiful. All right, mate. Well, thank you, Sam, for having a yak to us, mate, and all the best for the season ahead. Hopefully we'll have a chat to you at some stage in the future. Cheers, mate.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.